You're going to have an Instagram. Oh,
Away.
okay.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. We're away.
Instagram, we're going to be everywhere, aren't we?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. We've got a good Instagram person.
Are you going to put your earphones on?
Headphones.
Welcome to Bobby Bakehouse Express.
Here we are.
Coffee time. Tom Simpson across the desk, but our guest, Tommy Berry. Welcome.
Cheers, boys.
Hey, Tommy.
Yeah, good. This is your neck of the woods. This is your hood, Dural. We made it out here.
How good
You
is
weren't
it?
saying that coming up here.
It's the grounds of Alexandria.
Yeah, he'd be going, oh, where are we going? This is a
Mate,
shithole.
this is the
And now he
stomping
comes on here and says, oh, this is God's country.
Mate, I used to spend so much time up here doing dressage horses. I'm actually a bit worried I might run into a few.
A few of the old birds, eh?
A few of the old mummies.
But this is
it's
a
a
cool part of the
beautiful
world,
area.
isn't it, Tommy?
Yeah, no, it's nice. It's a little bit out of Sydney. I guess it's only half an hour from the city, but for a lot of people that's a long way. But
By helicopter.
yeah, no, it is half an hour from the city. 35 minutes to
You
Randwick in
keep
the
telling
morning
yourself that.
at 3:30. No traffic, but no, it is. It's good. It's good when you got a family and there's plenty of room for them to run around and nice little cafes like this. It's great.
You've been flat chat lately, heading into the warmer months and whatever else, but it doesn't stop this job of yours.
No, it doesn't. To be honest, it's coming to the end of it now, where I feel like I'm looking forward to a break. It's been a very long season, and especially the spring now. Like, when does the spring end? You know, we've got Newcastle last week. There goes.
Oh dear.
There goes our camera.
The video,
And then you've got-
the video might not be that flash of the first edition, but
No, then it's
Never mind.
this weekend the gong. You know, and
we're back.
it continues on, and it's not far into the Magic Millions, so there isn't really much time for a break. But over Christmas, I'll have 2 weeks off, and I'm looking forward to that.
But long may it continue. I mean, we've been in racing in Sydney for many, many years, and never been like this before. I mean,
No,
$1 million races week in, week out. You don't want to get blasé, but it's pretty cool.
it is. You know, Peter V'landys and Racing New South Wales, they've done an incredible job over the last, I think, 2 or 3 years to build it up to what it is today, and it caters for everyone, which is what I like. You know, it goes out to the provincials. We've got the country championships. Yeah, we've got something for everyone now. It's great to see.
What's I suppose let's take you back a little way, Tommy. Back to everyone comes through into the racing game in different ways. I mean, it's a bit of a cliche, but I'm tipping you're around horses from virtually the get-go.
Yeah, I was. We were born out at the Oaks on a nice property out there that Julie Ritchie owns now. I forget the name of the place now, but you'd probably know.
Oak Ridge.
Yeah, Oak Ridge. So Nathan and I and my sister were born out there, and we were there till 3, and then Dad moved to Warwick Farm to start training with Paul Cave, and so that was some of our earliest memories with horses out on the farm, and you know, we fell in love with the animal very early on, and it wasn't, you know, a lot of people say they wanted to be a jockey from a young age. I didn't know what I wanted to do in racing. I just wanted to be a part of it, and I was small enough and the right weight to be a jockey, so it was great.
So when you're at Warwick Farm and your old man was working for Paul Cave, what age did you and Nathan start to kick around the stables and help? Because I've heard you say countless times, you know, you'd always be helping. Your dad was the hardest worker, great example. When were you going in before school, after school, all that sort of jazz?
Well, we started going in at about, I guess, the age of probably 7. Full time, started going in, just filling up water buckets, carrying the feeds out. You know, you'd drag one feed bucket at a time to each box. And there was one horse called Warcool Ash. He ended up winning, I think, maybe the sprint at Bong Bong one year. He was one horse that we could go and sit, Nathan and I would go sit under his belly and have little chats, and he wouldn't move the muscle. And then it went on to obviously riding our little pony Cisco with the racehorses when we were about 11. And then on to when we were about 13, we'd go to Camden Sales, myself, Nathan and Paul, and go hunt a horse onto the track that we paid $200 for, and Paul would go and mouth it and take 2 weeks to do that, and Nathan and I would break it in and we'd sell it for a few grand a few weeks later on. So, you know, before we even got onto a racehorse, we'd had a very good grounding with Paul and my dad.
Didn't sound like school was a massive priority.
No, it wasn't. The reason we left school was because we were starting to ride track work before we'd go to school, and so we'd be up at 3 o'clock and we'd miss roll call at the start.
How old were you when you left school?
Year 9 we left.
Yeah,
about I think 4 weeks into year 9, the principal called us into the office with my old man and my mum and said, you've either got to start coming and making roll call, or we'll have to find another school to go to. And Dad said, well, that's going to entail missing out, and they'll only be able to ride 3 work instead of 5. He said, we can't have that. He said, you don't want to go to school, do you? And we said, no. So that was the end of it. And we started riding track work full time.
Couldn't imagine my folks saying that, but that's the racing world, and you say you're born into it. I'm sure you looked at Dad and said, good as gold. No worries. This is where it is. That's where it is.
Yeah, that's right. And Dad just he saw the passion we had for racing, and he saw that, you know, I guess my old man, he's 67 years of age, so he's seen a lot of people come and go from the sport, and he obviously saw that, you know, he thought we had what it took, and he went out on his own when we started our apprenticeship, so he could have us both under his wing, and made sure that he could bring us up the way he wanted to, and make sure that we worked hard the whole way through, and very thankful for everything he's given us.
Did Nathan want to be a jockey from early doors?
Yeah, he more so than me.
Yeah.
Nathan was a bit of a natural, where I was a bit of a retard, but just was very persistent, and might give that a miss.
Give that a miss. Just turn it off.
We've got enough of it. Yeah, so...
No, it'll do it again. Brush it. Yeah, so he was a natural.
Yeah, he was, and that showed through the early part of our apprenticeship. I think for the first 2 years, he was just riding winner after winner, and I really struggled, you know. I felt like I was number 2, and I was getting pretty much whatever he couldn't ride, I was getting the leftovers.
Is that true?
And that's how it was, and it wasn't until I'd stayed, when we got back from Perth, Nathan went straight to town, and I stayed back at Kembla and Newcastle on Saturdays for a good probably year to 18 months after, and then I come to town with 3 kilos, and Nathan was down to 1.5, and I just went straight past him, and the tide changed, you know. So it was quite strange, but he had links on me from right at the beginning.
So when did he go? So he went to Perth.
Yeah, we both did. So EI hit. I think it might have been on a Monday.
And you're an apprentice at this stage.
We're an apprentice with Dad. We're in our first year of our apprenticeship, and that was sort of around Monday afternoon. Monday night at about 8:30, 9 o'clock, Dad said, pack your bags, you're on a flight tomorrow morning to WA.
Shit.
So within, I think, 4 or 5 hours, Dad said, I'm not having you sitting around here just mucking out boxes. He said, you've got to ride. He said, we've sourced out two female trainers for you to go and ride for in WA, and we're on a flight that day at the age of, I think, we're 17, and we took our first flight interstate, and it was to WA, and it was the best thing we ever did.
What a way to, I mean, you have to grow up in a big hurry, going to a different place, and all of a sudden life gets a bit more real.
Yeah, it was, and, you know, we grew up, we come from a very tight family, you know, we lived together, we worked together, so to then be put on a flight, you know, I think 12 hours after finding out what we're going to do, it was a pretty big step for us, but I was lucky that I was able to do it with my brother, who was my best mate, and so we went through the whole thing together, which was looking back on it now, not having him there, that was some of my best memories with him.
And how long were you in Perth for?
We were there for about 3 months. Nathan came back for, I think, a week through the middle of it because he got suspended, but we were there for 3 months, and until the racing sort of started back here in Sydney, and it was great for apprentices to be given a go there. It's very hard to get going here, as everyone well know, and Dad wouldn't send us to ride down to the bush here. The furthest we were allowed to go to ride was Goulburn and Canberra, which is very different to what most apprentices do. They obviously go out very wide, but Dad said, you know, I want you learning from some of the best jockeys. You might only have 2-3 rides a week, but learn the good habits. You got blokes like Rodney Quinn at that stage riding at them places, and you can sit down and talk to him about how your rides went after your races, instead of going out real bush and just learning to jump and run on things. And like I said, it was very frustrating at the start. I just wanted to get out and ride winners, but Dad just took the slow approach with us, and it worked well in the end.
And did you do that? Did you sit in the jockey's room with your Rod Quinns and some of the big guns back then and talk to them, and were they open with their chat with you?
Yeah, they were, and well, they want to be, because I was very persistent, and so was Nathan, you know. And it'd be funny, I'd ask Rocky.
Well, not a pest at all. But
oh, definitely, that's me. Still am now, but I I'd go and ask Rodney Quinn what he thought, and then I'd walk around the corner and go and ask, Hugh Bowman what he thought, and then back to Corey Brown, and I'd ask for 3 or 4 jockeys' opinions, and they'd pretty much be on the same page. But I to this day still seek advice from some of the big boys, because you can never stop learning, and I'm only 28 years of age and been in the game for 13 years, so I'd like to think that my best years are ahead of me.
So 2 boys in Perth. Surely you've gotten up to something. They're still talking about the 2 Berry boys over in Perth with.
Yeah.
What happened over there?
Well, there's a few things we can't say on here probably, but there was a funny story. I'll never forget it. We used to change silks a lot over there because I was quite heavy and Nathan was light. So I used to get to the race and I'd say, Nathan, I'm not going to make the weight on this one. So we'd swap silks and I'd go hide around behind the spar in another room and he'd go way out for me, and then I'd come back and we'd swap them back and away we go and ride. And I'd never forget, we're at Ascot one day and come in, it was the last race and Nathan had knocked about 5 of them down on the home corner. And he comes in and he says, I think they might call me in. It wasn't much really, and I was in front, so I had no idea what had happened sort of behind me. He goes, but I've got to go, I'm going out on a date with this girl, and mate, she's a 10 out of 10, he's going. He goes, I just can't give it a miss. So I said, so what do you want me to do? He goes, put me silks on and go into the steward's room and fight me case for me. So I was like, yeah, sweet, not a problem. So
Did you have a chance to look at the
no,
vision
I
at all?
hadn't seen anything because he got them so clearly. They just went. By the time we changed the silks, it was Barry in the room and blah blah blah. So walked in and I went and sat down, and then another jockey came in, and another jockey and another jockey. And next minute, there's 4 jockeys sitting next to me, and I'm like, oh rightio. And they said,
what's he done here?
Yeah, and so they asked for the evidence usually, as they do, and I said, oh look, it was just a bit of general bunching. I might have shifted in a touch and tightened them up, but I don't think there was much in it. And they said, oh, you sure about that? And I said, yeah, yep. Anyway, watch the replay. He's knocked 4 of them over. And they said, would you like to change your evidence? And I said, oh, yeah, look, just give me whatever I deserve. And walked out the room. Got home that night. Nathan's come whilst in with his chest puffed out, so I'm tipping out a good one. And he said, here we go. I said, mate, I hope she's a good girl because you got about 3 weeks to spend with her. So, and that was that. But there was a few stories like that over there. It was good fun, and it was something I wish I could go back and do again.
Yeah, unbelievable. But in light of obviously what's occurred, incredible memories that now you just hold on to.
Yeah,
and
you
cherish.
do. Yeah, you do, and it's times like WA and I was, like I said, he was my brother, he's my best mate, and we got to go through our apprenticeship together, we got to go through school together, so we lived in each other's pocket from day one, and were apprenticed to my father at the same time, so, there was a lot of fights and things that I look back at now and just, getting in blues on the back lawn in Dad's stables about who was going to ride the last horse, and so the other one could get up and have breakfast first, little things like that, and it's things I cherish now, and now I'm bringing up my kids and seeing little things they do with each other, and it brings back memories of Nathan and I when we were growing up.
And there wouldn't be many times during the day where he can't be far from your thoughts.
No.
All the time.
No,
so that has to be normal.
Yeah, it is, and every time I ride a winner, he's the first person I think of and thank after the winning post, and when I'm at track work, you'll be riding out and something will just happen at the track and you go, I remember when, something similar happened to Nathan and I. And like I said, just bringing up my kids and, I guess having kids now of my own, I could relate to how tough it is for my mum and dad to go through what they've gone through, because it's, as a brother, it's tough, but to lose one of your own and one of your kids would be incredibly hard.
It'd be horrific. You can only imagine. And then the mental strength that they've then shown, because I imagine you've not knowing your dad, but I get the impression he's a bit old school and he'd be a tough cookie.
Yeah, he is. I think he probably hurts the most, but it probably hurts the most because he doesn't talk about it. He's a closed shop and he's more worried about everyone else. But everyone deals with it in different ways.
And on that, and especially, this is an unrelenting industry and we all know that, and there's recently been a shift towards a bit more awareness of mental illness and that sort of thing. And, when that happened, did you go through a period or a time where you didn't see there would be light at the end of it?
Yeah, oh, definitely. It wasn't until we fell pregnant with Caden, you know, and even then, you know, even times now, like, you'd find a week just here and there where you just go far out, like, when's it going to get easier, or when's the tide going to change, and then you think about, I'm so grateful for everything I've got. I've got 4 kids, I've got a beautiful wife, a nice home, and you sort of feel guilty for feeling the way you do about Nathan not being here and being upset and stuff like that. But then you just got to keep reminding yourself that, you know, there is light at the end of the tunnel, and you got to find it, and you got to look for the positives in life, and you look at people that are going through tough times. Obviously, our great friend Ty, you know, and what he's going through, and he's someone that's got to live with that every day as well. So, you know, there's people in tougher situations than myself.
Without making comparisons, whenever you lose a loved one, it's not nice. I lost Mum, about 6 years ago. Mum passed away, lung cancer, didn't smoke a day in her life, and it was weird. Like, you know, we miss Mum, we miss all the people that leave us, and I sort of it was bizarre that the weeks and months after, you sort of, I don't know whether I'm not smoking anything or anything, but you sort of half feel them. They're gone, but they're not gone. Am I making any kind of sense? And Mum's not here, but little things you see, I think, yeah, she's still here. She's around you somewhere.
Yeah, I never believed in that sort of stuff, but since Nathan's been gone, there's too many things that happen too often, and they're strange. And Shani speaks to a medium, and things that she said that's going to happen.
What's a medium?
Oh, they tell you what, you know.
A bit psychic.
Yeah, psychic.
In a way.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
I speak to Canna, she's psycho. Is that the same?
Oh, much of a muchness.
Toss of the coin.
They both think they can predict the future.
Tell me about it.
So
that's interesting.
Yeah.
Well, that's
it's
you know,
crazy, isn't it?
It's
And yeah, sorry. And what does she say?
Oh,
Or
just
she or he?
there's a great story, and it only happened very recently. And she said to Shani, she speaks a bit about Nathan, and without Shani asking, obviously, and she said there's a photo of Nathan in the house, and it at some stage in the next 12 months it's going to flip off the wall, and it'll happen when Nathan's obviously there, and it'll happen at a special time when the family's all together. And it was my mum's 50th birthday, and she was over with my dad, my sister, all of her kids, Shani and our kids, and Mum was in the kitchen, and the kids were playing in the lounge room. And in my office, there's a heap of photos of Nathan and I, but there's this one photo of just him. I think it might have been even his first ride in the Golden Slipper on Saramina, and it just did this front flip off the wall and landed on the ground, and Mum went to have a go at one of the kids, but all the kids were in the lounge room, and there was no one in that room at all. And it wasn't until that afternoon where she said to Shani, look, I'm sorry about the photo of Nathan. She picked it up, and it was obviously Nathan, and she felt really bad. She said, I don't know what happened, but it just flipped off the wall. It didn't even fall off the wall. It landed about half a metre away. And Shani just, broke down, because, that was 12 months ago. This lady told Shani it was going to happen, and it happened on Mum's 50th when all the family was there together, which was quite incredible.
Bloody hell.
You can't, if you don't believe in that stuff, and some do, some don't, I'm probably a non-believer, but it's pretty compelling.
It is, yeah. And it's nice to have that feeling that people are around that are gone.
He's around the place, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, even watching you, and before I knew you, and I obviously witnessed it from a distance, and I used to love that unencumbered, so I'd follow, I'd watch Nathan, and but every time, in some of the biggest moments where your adrenaline is at its peak, and you've just, performed exceptionally at the elite level, and for your first thought to be of him, you're watching, you point to the sky, and that's incredible to see, because a lot of people their only thought would be about that moment.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, for me, it's what got me there. And I feel that when I'm riding is when I feel closest to him, because our whole life most of it was riding together. You know, so when I'm on horseback, it feels like he's there with me. So when I go across the line, it feels like we've done it together, you know. And for some of my biggest meetings, he's buried on the way to Randwick, so I'll pull over on the way to Randwick, or I'll duck off there on the way to Rose Hill and go and see him before a Golden Sipper or a Doncaster, and you know, we have a little chat, and I'll go, "This is ours today, mate. We've got to go get this," you know.
And I feel sorry for the other jockeys, because that's proper motivation.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and even that, like, and I'll be honest, sometimes when you've done an interview, and this is before I've got to know you, and like Shani will pass the kids over, and I'm like, "Oh, fucking just do the interview, champ. Why do we have to see your kids?" But then, and obviously I've just had a daughter, and you understand, like, you know, that's unconditional love. All of a sudden, you understand it. All of that is your piece of the puzzle, isn't it? You know, like it's a natural, instinctive. It's everyone's there.
Yeah.
I'm not speaking on your behalf, but I imagine.
Yeah, well, everyone's motivated by something, you know. Unfortunately, some people are motivated by money.
Yeah.
Some people are I'm motivated by my family, you know, and I'm a very family-orientated person, and I love having my kids at the races. I love seeing them there. I love seeing them go, Dad, you know, let's go get this done, and then to have them with me, and I work for them. You know, I work to give them a great upbringing. I want them to be proud of me as a person and who I am and what I've achieved, and that's what it's all about for me. Luckily, for me, where I'm at, money comes with it, so you don't have to worry about that. But and it is for some people, they might think that after a race, you know, like, oh, he's bringing the kids in and everything like that. But
is that all the slings that the Hawks give you?
Still waiting for my first one. Jeez, you almost choked then.
Michael was going to be a guest at a point, so there will be a right of reply.
Yeah, I'd get 5% of whatever Michael gets, and I'm tipping that ain't much.
Advice.
Yeah, exactly.
Family around you, a beautiful thing, and before you know it, they're going to be. Who knows? They might follow down that path that you'll follow down. Who knows?
If Caden's not, you seen the size of him?
No, I think Levi's the only chance. I'm lucky because he's the youngest. He's one of the youngest, and the day one of them start riding, I'll give up, I think. So
yeah. Speaking of that, so take us back, Shani. I've never heard this story. How'd you meet?
Oh, we met at Nowra actually, and we were sitting on there's a little seat out the front of Nowra, in the little gated area there, and she was walking across the mountain yard, and she had something in her hand, and Nathan said, I was sort of at the doorway, and he goes, "Hey, come out here. There's good sort walking across the yard here." And I was like, "Yeah, right." So Nathan spotted her. So we're sitting down, and you can see her in the distance. And as she got close, I said, "No, someone's calling you inside." And he said, "What?" I said, "Someone's just called you." So he hopped up, walked inside, and she's come up to the fence. And she's like, she started stuttering. She was really nervous. Sian's a very shy girl when you first meet her. Not anymore. She used to be. And she was asking for a girth and stuttering away and everything. Anyway, I got a MSN. Is it MSN account thing?
The Messenger?
Messenger, yeah. MSN, yeah. So I started talking
the one
on.
that they can't trace you on, yeah, I know
that one. So we started talking on MSN for a good 6 months, and then I was obviously going. The first, I think, 2 years we were together, the only time I'd see her was going to and from the races. And I remember standing at Canberra at the mounting yard one day, and I'd had a race off, and we're talking, and as I said, she was very shy, and I said, "You know, Shani, if this relationship's going to work, we're gonna have to be able to communicate. You know, it can't be a one-sided thing. When I talk, you've got to be able to talk back." And it's the only thing I've ever regretted in my life, because now she doesn't shut up.
Oh, that's so good.
28, you say?
28, yep.
Yeah, there's a bit ahead of you. I mean, you've won plenty of big races, but there's a bit to come.
Yeah, I'd like to think so. I got on I was very lucky. You know, everyone's got to have a bit of luck in this game. It doesn't matter who you are or what you do.
You work hard, mate.
Yeah, I do. I work hard.
As everyone at that level does. But you make your own luck. There's no doubt about that in this game.
You know, when you get on that little roll, things seem to snowball for you. You know, and
Speaking of which, I don't know if I could be wrong here, but one of my early memories was back in the day working for Gay, and you're on Glencadam Gold, and you got taken off for Jimmy Cassidy. Is that right?
In the Caulfield Cup.
And I never forget. And obviously there's a high profile case that recently happened with down in Melbourne, and it's nothing to do with that. But I'll never forget how you acquitted yourself then.
Yeah.
And you bounced into the track the next day and you're just like, no, that's it. That's how it goes. I'll get my chance. And I reckon, I don't know if you think it, but for me that was a career-defining moment.
Yeah,
could have been.
Yeah, it could have been. You know, there's little moments in your career that, you know, set yourself apart from others, and that was one where I was pretty proud of myself at that time, looking back on it, as a young guy, and I'd won the Metropolitan on him, and then he obviously went to the Caulfield Cup, and they chose Jimmy, and sort of sat back, and I was annoyed to start off with, and I thought, you know what, I've been given an opportunity to be stable rider for Gay Waterhouse. That's good enough for me. And being stable rider for her, there's going to be a lot more opportunities. And Jim Cassidy was a freak. So, you know.
Did Gay, obviously Gay rang him and said, Tommy, this is a decision that's been made. It was a conversation at the time. Or did you pick up the paper and not seeing a name
it's a
on
one-way
Caulfield Cup Day?
conversation.
I turned up at track work. She goes, now listen, Tommy. You rode that horse a treat in the Metropolitan, but you're not going to ride it in the Caulfield Cup. Jimmy Cassidy's going to ride it. And I said,
I beg your pardon?
Fair play.
okay, now don't worry about it. Go get on that one down there, and that was the end of the conversation. And she knew I was disappointed, but you know it wasn't till after the Caulfield Cup she said, "Come up here. That horse don't cut up gold. You're going to ride it in the Melbourne Cup." And I said, "That's incredible.
Happy days.
My first ride in the Melbourne Cup, I think you ran 5th. I was in front at the 200. It was an incredible experience."
You went early, didn't you?
No, I actually didn't. I might have, I don't know. But even a moment after the Melbourne Cup that I'll never forget, and going back to Nathan, I don't like bringing him up too much, but he obviously comes up because he's in my life. But running 5th in the Melbourne Cup, walk into the room, and Nathan ran, and he jumped on me and just cuddled me, and he said, "Was that one of the best feelings in the world?" I said, "I've won plenty of Group 1s, but that was better than winning a Group 1. Just running 5th in my first ride in the Melbourne Cup."
Wow.
So that was great.
And if you throw your toys the other cot, you don't get the ride.
Yeah, exactly. But you know, it's everything happens for a reason. So
Swings and roundabouts in
it
racing.
does. And you, as you said, 28. It's going to happen. It's going to happen again.
Bloody oath, you're a baby.
How old are you?
Too old, 40.
Well, you got grey in your beard. So
Yeah,
are you 40?
Bit of
I'm
salt and
40.
pepper.
Oh yeah.
It's a good party this year.
I
Yourself?
feel 60. No, I
Hainsey,
look
what are you?
60 and act 20. So 40 is a good number.
I am 44, but I don't feel 44.
Oh, you don't look 44.
Don't feel 44.
See, that's what happens.
But you haven't worked hard, so you're fine. Like, I worked my ass off. That's why I feel 40.
Yeah, he actually gets out and does stuff. You sit in the studio. Big difference.
Oh, Stephen Bradbury.
Yeah.
Just waits for people to fall over.
Is it
Mate,
hard?
it's what?
Is it hard sitting in the studio?
Welcome back, viewers.
Great to have you with us.
I've never seen him lost
Do you know-
for words.
do you know what he should actually
let's head to
say?
the news.
Do you know what he should actually say? Welcome back, viewer.
Yes, you don't know. Well, you guys don't know the Sky Racing ratings. I do, so well.
Yeah,
you
I
know,
want-
Plug.
I want to ask you a question, and I want to ask you both a question, actually. So,
It's you both, not yous. You can tell you finished school in year 9, can't you?
Yeah,
It's
well,
you
that's
both.
well. Thanks for that. I appreciate it.
We're doing Jeff Fennick here.
School evens well.
Wait till you get my text messages. Some people can't even understand them. You know you're spelling bad when you're trying to write something. You're waiting for autocorrect to pick it up, but it's that far wrong that autocorrect can't even help you. So you've got to find another word to put down.
You need a jockey spelling app.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why this morning he sent us a photo of the venue. Didn't actually type
Not the
anything in,
address.
not the address.
Just keep driving till you'll drive past this.
It's here.
So, first to you, Hainsey. What's been the best part of your job in your career? Like, is there a day that you went to the races and you walked away and said that was one of the best days I've had?
I think, in a nutshell, getting to go to the races and talk about horses for a living and call it a job.
That's such a generic shit answer.
No, but it's.
Oh,
but
look
it's
at it a
true.
day. Oh, where do you start with?
No, look, orange on a Thursday.
What days are the races? Corinda on a Friday. No, look, I mean, I love autumn. I love that time of year. It's just cool time of year. And there's some great days at the races. I probably couldn't pinpoint one great day at the races, but I don't get to go to the races very often now and be with mates and socialise. Maybe after the last year I might catch up with some mates, but years ago you catch up with mates at the races, but I get to go there and work for a living now, but and feel pretty blessed doing that.
And
There's plenty of punters that don't like what they do for a living, but I'm pretty lucky, I think.
And for you looking at it to afar, do you see racing in a good place at the moment?
Look, I think looking at it right now, yes. I think there's a few factors, aren't there? I mean, prize money is fantastic, but there's some underlying factors. I mean, we're in the racing industry, sure, that's great, but gee whiz, the outside world, you have to think what they think about us too.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
where we are such a small percentage of people that are in this game, are we a popular sport? Are we a like sport? In light of recent events and issues, probably not. I think we're in a pretty good place, but gee whiz, public perception of our sport could be a whole lot better right at the moment. And I think we all know that.
Yeah.
I think that's probably half a no-brainer.
And you can't say in the last month to 6 weeks that people haven't done things to make a change. Like that, we know that there are underlying issues, and I think that people are making an effort to make sure that things are in a line.
I was going to ask you this at the end, but should we ban the whip?
No, definitely not. And
why?
Well, simple fact is, you're getting on a 500-kilo animal. It doesn't matter what sport you're in. Everyone has a tool, and our tool is the whip. And does it need to be used as much as it's being used? Maybe not. I'm not sure, but that's for others. I think that's something that we've got to improve on as an industry. But to take it away from us, well, who wants to get on a horse if you can't control it? So you talk about the guys at the circus with the lions. They've all got something. You're not going to get in a cage with a lion without something to control it. With a horse, it's the same thing.
So my view, correct me if I'm wrong, number one, we should change the name, change it to the balancer. And that everyone will go, oh, fuck, everyone knows it's a whip. But in 10 years' time, it'll be known as the balancer or whatever it is.
I think that's a very good suggestion.
because the whip, the perception is that it inflicts pain, sometimes pleasurable pain, a whip.
Well, there is a pad. There is a pad on the end of it now.
That could be just you.
That's just me.
You like the pad?
But so that's number one. And I've never ridden a racehorse, and not for 1 second would I suggest that I would know. So it's, your opinion is invaluable and supersedes 99.9% of the population. If it's a safety aspect, you can't remove it. But I do think that, number one, change the name. Number two, if we altered the way that it was used, for example, it doesn't appear that the penalties are harsh enough to dissuade someone from using it in a tight finish.
Well,
or at all. Is that accurate?
Well, not really, because in a tight finish you can use it as much as you like. So, it's
number of times before.
But that's what I mean. Oh, okay. So what's the rules?
It's 5 times before, as long as
before what, the 100?
Before the 100. But if you say you hit it 7 times before, which suits me better, like I might use it 7 times before, but I don't use it much the last 100.
Yeah.
But other jockeys, everyone's a bit different.
But if you use it 7 times before, what do you get a fine?
No, you don't. No, not if you don't hit them every stride. That say I might only hit it 4 times the last 100, so they take over the how much you've used it the whole straight. But if you've only hit it 5 times before the 100, you can hit them as many times as you like. So it's one or the other.
And every horse is different.
And you have actually count.
Well, no, but you should know. It's like anything. You don't have to count. You should know about how many times you've hit them. And if you're counting, you're not really worrying about
that's what I would have
winning
thought.
the race. But going back to the pad of the whip. Now, I didn't think there was a massive difference with the pad of the stick until I went back and rode in Japan, where you can use the padded stick or you can use your old stick.
Right.
And I've never been so happy that we made that change to a padded stick, because the feeling of hitting a horse with the old stick,
right?
You can see the difference. Oh, definitely. I used it over there on a couple of occasions, and I actually threw it in the bin and said, I don't care if other jockeys are using the old sticks. I'm gonna use a padded stick, because look, I don't feel that it makes it encourages a horse to go forward.
Yeah.
Does it hurt him? Definitely. I couldn't see it hurting a horse, especially if you hit him up the ribs where they haven't got a heap of fat. Yeah, maybe, but on the bum, more about that being a physio, but that's probably the strongest part of there.
There's a lot of soft tissue. And it's more down and whether. I mean, you see horses, their tails flick, and I think that comes down to the horsemanship of the pilot. If they know that they've just they've given a slight little here we go, and the tail's swishing in there, and they've moved
or they
a bit.
Curl up underneath.
Yeah, well, the good jocks
put it away,
and they'll just ride them
100%.
out. So I mean, there's definitely, and you see that happening. I suppose it's safety versus perception.
100%.
Initially, and then performance, and everyone says If there are no whips, one horse will win the race. You know, you'll always have a winner. And, of course, that's true.
How far do you go? You know, once the whip's gone, do we ban racing altogether? Like, where does it stop?
Yeah, it's a big argument.
Start racing in lanes.
Exactly. So, yeah.
Why don't they do that?
Well, because then it's not...
I'm joking.
I was going to say, are we going to really go down this line?
To another horse, and this is a segue to you shortly, Tommy, Chautauqua. I suppose...
Spell that.
CHAUQAU. No, T. Oh, I've got to write it down. I've got to write it down.
The only reason why I can say that is because I had to write a bloody email and I spelt the freaking thing wrong and I went to Racing Victoria. Yeah.
Well, Brent Abdallah asked me the other day. I said I can write it for you, but it could. Yeah. Anyway, carry on. You arsehole. I'll get you back.
Again, this podcast isn't about the physio, but we're going that way. We'll come back to you in a second, Tommy.
Should be.
And we'll get Michael onto the point. But you've worked with him. Personality-wise, they say he was just as sharp.
Tommy knows him better than me.
You both know.
You start. What was he like to work with?
He was quirky. And this is one thing I'd say, and I am very passionate about this, is that when he stopped going to jumping, and everyone's like, oh, he's had enough, and he's showing his... And you know, like you know that horse very well. And what, to me, it was a reflection of more so is the incredible job the Hawkses have done to get out, to have him perform the way he did, given that personality. Like, in many other hands, there's just no way he could have done that.
No.
I am firmly... And he was the quirkiest racehorse I've ever been involved with.
I'd have to agree. And... don't worry, to the time he stepped onto the racetrack the last time there at Moonee Valley, he was just as good physically and felt just as good and was working just as good at home as he had his whole career.
But what about that trial when he was delayed?
Ran
him in 32 or something at Rose Hill at the races.
He spotted. He give him about 30 length start, but
it's called taking the piss, isn't it a bit?
Well, 100%.
And he's an intelligent animal.
Well, do you think Moonee Valley was the undoing of him?
I do. Yeah. And my theory on this, and take one step back. One thing about Chautauqua that I loved, he was a loner. You know, he wanted to just be left alone and to do his own thing. He raced that way. Yeah. He's like, you leave me alone early, and I'll get the job done for you. And you had to trust that he was going to do that. And any jockey that rode him that tried to get him out of that comfort zone came unstuck. You know?
Abdallah. He's going to kill him.
He rode him fine. And he was like that in track work. You just had to let him do his own thing. And he was like that no matter what I had anything to do with him, that was him. But you go back to that day when he didn't jump that day. You know, it doesn't matter what athlete. They go out there, perform at their highest level, which he always did. But him more so because he did it the hard way. He came from last, he looped the field, and he ran home in those incredible sectionals from the half mile. You wake up the next morning, you go, geez, that was hard. You felt it, you know. He got backed out of the barriers. He walked home. He got fed the next morning, felt great, and got groomed. Yeah. And he's like, I don't even have to go out and jump. I don't even have to go out and race.
He's not stupid, was he?
Yeah. He was that smart. He knew that he was going to get fed the next day. He was going to get brushed. He was going to get watered. He was going to turn up to the track and gallop them amazing sectionals. And that was just him. And what I always said to everyone was what stopped him from racing in the end was what made him as good as he was for so many years. Was that ignorance and that personality that made him so good. And it worked with us for so long, it just worked against us at the end.
He was the man.
He was. He still is.
Okay. Now, nice segue into an iPad we have here. And April the 2nd, 2016, at one of his TJ Smith Stakes wins. We have the race here, Tommy, and we're going to press play.
It's a third, yeah?
2016 was his third. It might have been.
Yeah, it might have been his second, wasn't it?
But
I'll know at the start anyway.
What we'll do here, Tommy, is
get the third.
Give us here. Well, we can do that.
He had one job.
Well, no.
One job.
You go back to his second.
His
third was his best.
Yeah, go back to his second. Mate, awesome. We won the race. Oh, thanks.
We're driving out and he goes, I forgot the iPad. I brought it.
Yeah.
I got it. Yeah.
Laptop.
Yeah.
Mate, the big the big moments, mate. The big moments. Well, do we do two? It's up here, 2016. All right. Well, you guys chat between yourselves and I'll get number 3 up. Good as God. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll get the third one up.
No, good
Yeah,
idea.
that's a good idea.
But so
One job.
oh,
Honestly.
so talking into that though, there was obviously a bit of, there was, how well's he going? And from memory, he took Winks on the start before in the heavy at Rose Hill.
Yep.
The start before. Coming into this race, where's your head at regarding where he's at?
I didn't know because it was an unusual preparation. Hawks is, as you said, took on Winks because a lot of people shied away from her, but they were like, no, we're going to take her on. We're at 1400, which we know he runs 1400, but he can go a little bit keen. And she beat us fair and square. But going into that TJ Smith, I just didn't know what to think. I was like, well, I just had to trust that the Hawks are freaks. They know the horse backwards. And I remember Michael saying the day of the race, we'll get the job done.
And this is the 2017 TJ Smith Stakes, Chautauqua. We can press play, and you can stop and pause as you see fit through it. So we'll put an iPad in front of Tommy.
But what you were thinking, like
just your thoughts in the run, and so they're about to jump. We'll let you go and pause where you like.
Well, 50 metres after the start, that was
you've
probably
missed it by 5.
No,
Not really,
he actually jumped. He actually jumped well
was he
this
slow
day.
or not? Oh,
No,
did
he jumped too well.
He jumps when he wants to.
Yeah, and yeah, exactly.
As it
I
turned
watched
out to
the
be.
wrong race.
He actually jumped a little bit better than I would have liked because I always liked him missing at half because.
Didn't he miss it?
No, look, that's 50. No, look, go back to the start.
He's last, but he's jumped well.
No, but he hasn't missed it, mate. Look, he jumps with him. Hold on. Are they all on there, guys? See? Yeah, I jumped with him.
Fair play.
Yeah.
Yep.
So jump with him, but then you're sort of in a position where you push back to the inside, which I never like to be on him. My favourite position on him was 3 wide with cover out the back, you know.
Yeah.
And so I'm back to the inside here. I think you've got Rebel Dane outside of me. Not sure who is up in front of me, but this is the only time in a race that I'd ridden him where he never felt like he was travelling. He never, he never looked like he was travelling. But when you were riding him, you always knew you had it underneath you.
Yeah, and we'll get around to that point. But
Can I finish?
Sorry, yeah.
So do you want me to run for the race and then you
Please
can talk
go,
after?
Yes.
Is that how it's going to work?
Yes, do that. That's a good idea,
mate,
actually.
we drove up here and Tom said, the thing about these podcasts is let the subject do the talking. let Tommy talk.
Coming from him. That's incredible.
You haven't had a word in all the time.
It's all been about Tom and Winks, the Tom and Winks show.
Right,
Go on.
Okay.
Go on.
So anyway,
I treated Chautauqua too, did you know?
Yeah, we're 100 metres after the start here, but as we were getting to the corner, I started to get a little bit detached to the field, and as I said, he was off the bit. He felt like his wheels were spinning, and I thought to myself, I can't come around him and win. It's the only time I thought I can't come around him and win. And then when I've ducked up underneath him and I come up underneath Damien Oliver, I think he was on one of Mike Maroney's. Oh, no, he wasn't. What's he on? Joe Pridesing, wasn't it?
Was it a Ball of Muscle or a Terra Vista, one of those?
Terra Vista. Corey Brown, and then that was Damien Oliver. What was he on?
We're about the 400 metre mark now, even
At the 400, and I've come to the outside underneath Terra Vista here, and as soon as I give him two around the bum, I thought, hold on, we're on here. And even when we got to the 100 metre mark where everyone thought he couldn't win, I actually thought he could because I could feel the momentum building and I could feel him going through his gears. And
even when you saw Gay stand up in the stand, did you think he could win, or did you think that English had won?
How good was that?
There's
That was
early
brilliant.
crows, and there's early crows, then there's early crows on TV.
And then there's Gay's early crow.
Yeah. That was claimed.
And I remember saying to Michael after the race, he goes, "Far, did you panic?" And I said, "At what stage?" He goes, I said I was
cool as ice.
I said I was panicking at the 1,500 mile, and he goes, "No, like the top of the straight around the 300." He goes, "No." I said, "I had it one from there," and he goes, "You're taking the piss." I said, "No, seriously, I had it one from there," and it wasn't until I'd gone back and watched the replay, and I said, "You sound like an idiot," because watching the replay, how could you have had it one by there? You couldn't have. But being on his back, we talk about being on his back again. Like I could just feel him going through his gears, and I hadn't pulled the stick through to the right yet. And anyone that ever watched him race and watched me ride him, I still had another 2 lengths up my sleeve when I pulled the stick through to the right hand.
I mean, you're in a position to say, I've been here before. I know what could happen here.
Yeah.
If he wants to turn up here.
Yeah, exactly. And he was one of them horses. Horses can only really, most of them, 80% of horses can let down for 300 metres. He could let down for almost half a mile. His times from the half mile were always incredible, and he had to let down from the half mile to win most of his races. So, and that's what stood him out from the rest. And we talk about horses, some of the best horses, and you look at Black Caviar, Winks, and I'm going to throw Shataka in that, and for one reason, they all had a massive stride. They had this incredible stride, and when you watched them race, they looked like they were in slow motion, I think. You know, they looked like they were just in slow motion, but they were either putting lengths on the field or they were taking lengths off the field.
She had a quick stride. She had a quick cadence.
Yeah, she did.
Winks did. Whereas I reckon Caviar and Stakra had bigger strides, from what I understand. But
yeah,
he's a good example. If you didn't have a whip, would he have got going?
Oh, definitely not. You know, he needed that. That was his go button. You know, and like I said, from pulling the stick from left to the right,
a balancer, I should say, a balancer.
Yeah, the balancer.
The balancer.
That picked him up again. Can I tell you a story about Black Caviar?
Oh, it's about you. Why don't you?
Yeah, no. Well, it just come to me.
What, you're not back the ride?
Hey, mate, you'll get your chance, Tom. Get your chance.
Mate, it's your turn in a sec. Promise.
It should be one of these about me.
So I was riding Crew to Queen against her at Caulfield one day. I ran second. We're coming up to the 600 metre mark. We've gone past it, up to the 500, approaching the bend. Luke Nolan strides up on Black Caviar alongside me, and he goes, "Get going, Jock." And I looked over and I said, "Not yet, settle down." So I sat there for a bit longer, and he yelled out, "Oi!" I said, "Get going, Jock." And I said, "Rightio, I'll show you get going." So I pushed the button on my filly, and she let down like a rocket. And then 2 strides later, he comes gliding past me, and I could hear it clear as day. He's like, "Easy, darling. Easy, darling." As she just felt like it was all in slow motion, and she just glided away from me. And my filly, as I said, she's flying, and Black Caviar just glided away as Luke was going, "Easy, darling. Easy, darling." And then come back in the room, he said, "Told you to get going."
Now, I've got one more serious question for you. If the first thing that comes to mind to improve racing, and from any standpoint that you observe.
Kids.
Explain.
Just getting kids to the races. Kids are our future. Doesn't matter what part. And I'm not just saying to the races to watch them. We've got to do more to get kids involved, whether it's to be a physio, to be a dentist, to be a trainer, I don't think we do enough to get. You can always say you're doing enough, but are you actually doing enough? You know, to get apprentices through apprentice school. We're at an industry where we're struggling to get participants to work in the industry. Why? Because who wants to work long hours, early mornings for the money you get? It is, and
it's literally shift work.
It's hard. So,
kids can do whatever they want now. Like they can. There's any other option.
You've
got to love it though, but you've got to want to do it.
Yeah, but they're not around it enough as kids anymore to fall in love with a horse or the passion. Because at the end of the day, a lot of us got into it because we fell in love with the horse or the animal before we actually fell in love with a job or found a job we wanted to do. But these kids, they're getting put into it at the age of 20 when they skip that part of falling in love with the animal and it just becomes a job. Well, you tell me how many people go to work that are working just for a job and go to work there every day going, "Geez, this is a great job, I love it." You know, and not too many people. You go to work because you love it, a lot of people, and that's the joy of doing it. So I think we can improve on getting people into racing at a younger age, whether it's as a spectator, so put more things on for the kids, but mainly getting young people into our sport and putting programs together where they can fall in love with the animal, because that's what we need to do.
Yeah,
well
the next,
said.
I always sort of get on air and half say, I'll put a race book in their hand, come to the races on their school holidays and plenty of room to run around and get into it. I mean, that's a very superficial thing. You've got to come from the start all the way through and you say, fall in love with the horse, be involved with the animal for a start. Getting there in the holidays is good.
Yep.
But it runs a bit deeper than that.
Don't charge $5 for a race book and $5 for a bottle of Coke and $6 for a pie. Like, far out.
And the rest.
Some of those ham rolls at the races are about $10.
Well, I remember.
They're good. They're very good. Don't get me wrong. But
that's right. And the thing is,
but they did.
When we were young, we used to go to Warwick Farm and used to have to pack a picnic basket because you couldn't afford to buy food there.
Yeah.
It's only getting worse.
And it's
So-
shit food, I have to say.
Well, it's
The
just,
majority of it is, like, you know what I mean? It's not appealing,
and this isn't just
food.
racing. This is when it comes to the price of food.
because I know
This
everything
is
about
sport
food.
in general. You go to a footy game.
Oh,
you
you
go
got
to
a footy game,
any-
it's $80 to take
Oh.
the family. Kill me. Like, seriously.
better off. And you wonder why people stay at home and watch it on TV.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
If I had a missus like yours, I'd stay home and watch it on TV as well.
fucking please.
Jesus, I wouldn't be going out of the house.
Oh, don't trust
Mate,
that.
Tommy, sometimes those dating apps do work.
Yeah, well,
Now and again.
bloody oath.
that's proven.
Well,
Now and
listen, when
again.
you was busy
Which
with
agency
me-
did you go to?
Happen.
Happened.
It fucking happened, all right. I actually thought, again, it's about me. I actually thought it was a fake account because you get people on that just trying to attract interest and followers and all that shit. So I actually thought that I was.
Which he does do anyway.
Did you have your photo? Like, was it
Oh, I had a
you
good
as your photo? Or
I had a good photo.
did you?
Reek,
No, me
been
with-
in the gym.
Me with Catkins, the old Catkins photo. Yeah,
Oh,
I had a
shit.
good photo.
One good mare to another.
That's right. Yes. Yeah.
And now he's a dad.
How is that going
It's
for you?
different.
I love it.
Do you actually love it?
I
though?
love it.
Every part of it.
Oh, there's times when you bloody want to jump out of a building. I was at a driving range the other night at 11 p.m. because I just couldn't cope. Like, I was like, I have to get out of here.
And you don't even like golf.
yeah. First time.
Yeah.
It's the only thing that was open. But, oh, mate, it's... Everyone says it, but it's mind-blowing. Everything about it is incredible. It's challenging. It's, just unbelievable, though. I'd have 3-4 more.
No, you wouldn't.
I couldn't
No,
afford
you
it.
wouldn't.
I
When
couldn't
you-
afford it. But,
No,
It's humbling.
it is. You got a new one?
Uh,
How old?
let's go back to Jack and Jazz twins, 17 this year.
Yeah, and then
Allegra's 3.
Yep.
And Karina in foal, 20 weeks.
Oh, so in foal. So it's, sorry, in foal.
And
Getting cranky yet?
And then, yes.
So that's why.
Oh, don't, let's not go.
No wonder why we got the podcast
Let's not
going.
go there.
Let's get out of the house every Sunday.
Oh,
What
mate.
about when you said, "Oh, do you want to do the podcast?" Oh yeah, come. I'll go do it.
And
2
Q
hours away
back
from the kids.
and Q back in the rack.
Yeah.
We are done.
Yeah. So who got tied up? You or her?
Well, we haven't had that discussion yet.
Oh, I got Sean tied up. he
well,
said,
she couldn't get tied up now. She's pregnant, could she?
"No, Sean's not pregnant. We just
No, Karina.
Oh yeah, no, but
Kinda-
she, yeah. So after
That was in year 10, that lecture.
yeah. Well, Sean got hers done.
3-1.
They I said, so how's it work? And they said, oh, we put clips on their tubes. I said, oh, how many did you put on? And they said, oh, we put 1. So how about
Put
times
another
3 or 4? They actually put 2 on hers.
Yeah, you're
Just
very
in case.
fertile. Good sire.
Yeah. it's just-
How many? You've got 4, haven't you?
4.
You just had your 4th.
yeah.
Those,
Oh,
qui-
yeah,
those
same
quiet
age as
dural
Frankie.
nights.
We're close to.
What's that?
Similar age to Frankie. You've just had her.
Yeah,
Yeah, as in
about,
had-
about
Him or her?
him.
Him, yeah.
It's 10 weeks
Levi.
old. No, that's Nate.
Fucking Jesus. I can't keep up.
Yeah,
Where'd you get Levi from?
that's one of them.
That's one of them?
Yeah.
Oh,
There's
You
4
pay-
of
You
them.
pay attention. He's
Yeah.
mentioned his name 3 times. Oh, God. Yeah, right.
So between all, so you're gonna have 4,
and that'll be it, yes.
and I'll 4. You're 1 with some on the
I'm
way.
stepson, Rocco, to Canna's
Yep.
little boy.
He's a
How old is
champion.
he?
He's 6.
6.
He's a legend.
Is he?
He's a legend.
He's a gun.
He is a rock star. Yep. He's a cool dude. So he's 6, and Frankie is bordering on 4 months.
Beautiful. Francesca, what a name.
Yep. Great name. Yeah, no, so mate, it's all, I'm welcome, bring on any advice, but, oh yeah, no, it's not for the faint-hearted, is it? You
No,
know,
it's not. You get your good and bad times. Most of it's good, but geez, it's hard sometimes.
I've said from day one, not to take anything away, like, not that this is an accurate comparison, but it's like going to war. Like, it's traumatic. You experience this traumatic event where there's blood and guts, and then you never really mention it. You just catch up like the veterans do, I'm sure, and they just nod and they know what they've seen, but
Yeah.
they never talk about
Yeah.
it.
You know what's funny though? I was only saying to someone last night. When you don't have kids and you talk, and people that have kids and they're talking.
Aren't
to
you an
about their
expert when you
kids.
don't have kids?
Yeah.
I was.
Yeah, but then people
Still
start
am.
talking about their kids, and you're like, I don't really want to hear about your kids. Like,
Kids are like dogs, you only love your own.
yeah, exactly. But then when you have your own kids, you find it until you start talking about.
I'm
and
showing
then-
people photos, randoms
Yeah,
in the cafe.
yeah, exactly. Have a look what he did
Yeah,
today.
yeah.
They are beautiful. It's just amazing. It's just amazing.
It is
They're
good.
beautiful.
Very good.
Just want to ask you one other thing, and it's half off another little podcast you watched the other day to do with and tell me if it's too boring or not, but social media has only, like Twitter, for example, been around for, say, 5 to 10 years. Changed the racing landscape from the point of view that people can say whatever they bloody like about you online. Do you cop any criticism? Do you look at it? Do you see much about it? Like, or do you even care? Do you block it out?
Yeah, look, I think there's a fine line. Some people are a bit precious, put it that way, that cop a bit of criticism, because at the end of the day, everyone's got an opinion and everyone's deserves to have an opinion. We all have one, but as long as there's a line and you shouldn't cross it. You can give your opinion by saying that was a bad ride, but do you say, I hope you fall off, I hope you die, and that's the fine line, and that's what we do cop. You know, I hope you get hit by another horse or something like that. That's just. But at the end of the day, you've got a punter that's put his hard-earned on that he's worked hard for, all right? And I know if I'd put my money on a horse and someone gave it a bad ride, I'd be going, oh, geez, I'm not the type that I'd put it online, but people are, and I respect that. You know, everyone's got a place in life, and you got your punters and that, and they're expressing their feelings. But there's just and I just block it out. I have a bit of a laugh about it, and, you know, I'll go, you know, that was a pretty shit ride, you know, so I probably deserve that one. Or, you know, you should know when you've ridden one bad, and everyone else knows when you've ridden one bad. So when someone writes it on social media, well, who cares? Yeah. Because we all know you wrote it bad anyway, and you should probably know it as well. But it's that fine line when they go over and then start saying, you know, that they hope that you hurt yourself, which is tough to take because it's just not right.
No. And the reason I bring it up is, like, 10 years ago, that would have been at the track, blokes yelling abuse over the fence. Probably still happens, but now they can, in the world we live in, it's just prevalent. People can have a crack at you from all angles, and they couldn't give a shit if they do or not.
And the racial side of things is the big thing that's got to change.
Anything else you want to say about yourself, Tom?
No, I want to thank Tommy for making your time available on a Sunday. And, mate, that was,
it's been fun.
Absolutely enjoyed it.
Could be the first and the last, but we appreciate you coming on.
No, I think you will do well. It's good to see that you've got the passion to talk about something we all love, and hopefully it gets out there to a broad audience. I reckon if you get rid of Tom, you're probably half a chance. Keeping him on there, don't get Hawksy on here. He's going to want to listen to him dribble.
No, but we get to bring Claire.
Okay, then. I understand now.
The method to the madness.
Well, thanks for having me on the show, boys.
Mate, thank you very much, Tommy Berry, the inaugural correct plate guest, and we really appreciate it.
And thanks to Bobby's Bakery out here at Dural. If you haven't been, come and have a look. Also, we haven't spoken about it, but I do want to give a quick cheerio to the boys, St Andrews Beach Brewery in Melbourne.
It's the only thing we haven't mentioned. Well, we got time. We're going to edit this anyway.
Yeah.
Mate.
Let's talk. Do you have time?
Joe Rogan's go for 3 hours. I mean, he does interview superstars, but we might as well.
I got time.
We had 10 more minutes. Why don't you talk about that and I'll get the pies.
Good on you.
Yeah. What kind of pie, though? There's a lot of different ones.
Well, I'm going to get a chicken pie. What do you want?
No, can you get me a sausage roll?
Yes. Actually,
jeez, there's about 50 different pies there. What are you getting?
I'll assess the sausage roll.
I'll have a chicken pie.
Chicken pie.
Please.
Okay, I'll have a sausage roll.
I'll be back.
2 tomatoes.
Just tap this, mate. I'm not sure there's much on it, but just tap.
2 tomato sauces, please.
Righto. Thanks, Tommy. You can tell him about your brewery. I don't really care about it. No, that's all right. I'm good.
Do you want mine?
There he is.
Mine definitely won't bounce.
He's off to go. He looks like he's about to jump on a boat or something, doesn't he?
Hey, why do you use a jumper on top and shorts down the bottom?
I don't know.
Are you cold or hot? What? Well, you got a jumper on top and shorts down the bottom.
Well, I'm perfectly dressed.
Where's he from again?
He was actually hoping the video was going to work today because he wanted to sort of half look the part, inaugural. Where did the brewery come about? Did an opportunity arise, or you got talking to someone and... Because it's a fair part of your life now.
Yeah, no, it is. It's a massive part. I was taking the mickey out of Michael Freeman one day at Randwick when I was riding work for him, and just typical Freeman, fingers in everyone's pie. They've always got little bits going on here and there, and he goes, we're actually starting up a brewery out at Mornington. And I said, where's that? And he said, on our old training facility there at Mark Dell. And I said, oh yeah, that sounds good. I said, can I get involved? And he said, absolutely not. I said, why not? He said, because we don't need anyone else. Anyway, I just begged him for 12 months. And
just to take a share or be in for a percentage?
I just wanted to be in for a bit anyway. I don't know what happened, but anyway, he let me in for 10%, which was great. So I've got a nice little interest in that now. It's gone on in leaps and bounds now. We've got one in France. We're opening one in March in Manchester in the UK.
Wow.
The one in Mornington is we've put a whole new canning line in there, so we can service pretty much the whole of Australia with beer. So we're
a brewery on the property.
Yeah, the brewery's on the property. We've got about 16 tanks. We've got a canning line that can do 900 cases of beer a day, and we've gone into all Dan Murphy's everywhere in Melbourne. We start in Sydney and Queensland very, very shortly, and it's a pretty good drop. Excuse
my ignorance, but you've done it. You've clearly done a great job with it, you guys and girls. But you don't see a great deal of advertising around the place. Word of mouth. I mean, I'm not opening newspapers or watching TV and seeing it advertised. So it's popular, but it's been done pretty smartly.
Yeah, it has, and we've been very big on not getting too big too quick, and we've had obviously a lot of opportunities and people come to us to broaden our business quite quickly, and we've got some very smart people operating it. There's only about 7 of us involved, 7 owners, some very smart people. Andrew Purchase, Michael Wallace is involved, David Warner, Michael Friedman, and a couple of others, and they've been very smart about just, let's be able to give people what they want and not go too big too quick. And that's why we've been open 18 months, and we're just starting to get into Sydney and Melbourne now, and we sponsor racing.com. I think we're going to start sponsoring Sky, actually, where you're from.
Beautiful.
So we do the winning jockey at racing.com.
I'll do your voiceovers.
Yeah, mate, water.
I've aimed up here.
They reckon it's hard to get a seat there on a Sunday.
Yeah, it is. It's
thanks, mate.
Most days, actually. It's pretty busy, whether it's... one thing I find strange about Melbourne people, it doesn't matter how cold it is, they don't mind going outside. Like, I've been down there and it's been freezing and the joint's packed, so...
I need one more sauce, mate.
Look, I don't want to harp on about it too much, but if you haven't been to the brewery, make sure you just pop down and have a look, and if you want to know a bit more about the place, you can contact me on Instagram or the boys at SABB Brewery.
Might leave things there, Tom?
Yeah, well, I think we'll...
Wait till he comes back and say
we'll
goodbye.
Sign off and happy days.
This pie is very good. If you're up this way, the chicken pie is...
champion, thanks, mate.
Is the way to go. Tommy, thank you. I'm going to wind things down. Sunday morning, we appreciate you coming to join us. And too good.
No, it's
too
been
good,
great.
you.
It's been great, guys. Appreciate it. Thanks for coming out.
Thanks, mate.